Hey, I'm Vea, and this is Case by Case Divorce. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to talk about how divorce hurts our kids and what we can do to protect them from it. Please watch this video all the way through because the whole thing is just jam-packed with information and good content. And of course, press all the buttons and share this with people you think it will help, because that's the whole point. But let's just dive right in. I've done a ton of research on this, and what all the professionals are saying is that what kids need to grow up in a healthy way is stability, predictability, and attuned, healthy connection with a grown-up. So if you are divorced and your ex is a narcissist or some kind of emotionally abusive person, you know that your kids aren't getting that at the other house. So you can't control that. You just need to take a deep breath and let that go and do your best to provide those things at your house. So let's break it down. Stability is all about routine. It's about having the same bedtime routine, having the same things that you do on holidays, Friday night movie nights, pajama days on Saturdays, pancakes on Sundays, just simple routines. Something as simple as, every night we brush our teeth, we read a story, we go to bed. Just that kind of stability is so vital for kids. And that's a really easy thing that you can just build in to your family's routine. The next thing is predictability. So this is all about letting kids know what they need to expect. So letting your kids know at the beginning of their week what the rest of their week is going to look like. Or another example is if you have an appointment or you're going out for dinner or something, let them know what type of behavior you expect from them and what type of experience they can expect to receive. So like, we're going to the doctor's office, we might have to wait, we need to use our inside voices while we're there. Let's bring an activity that we can do in the waiting room. Or this week's gonna work a little bit different than you're used to because there's a pro D day or there's no school on a certain day. So you're gonna have this many days of school and then you're gonna have a day off. Or you're with me for this many days and then you go to the other parent's house. Just giving your kids that sense of what to expect creates a huge opportunity for them to have healthy brain function and emotional regulation. So you're gonna have better behaved kids. The third thing that kids need to grow up in a healthy way is a tuned, healthy connection with a loving grown-up. And divorce impacts this in two different ways. It impacts your ability to be there for your kids in an immediate way. So I'm talking about you get an upsetting email, or you get a text from your ex, or you have a trial coming up, or there's something that's pulls your attention away from your kids and away from yourself and towards your ex. And now you're not parenting anymore. You're spinning out in your mind or arguing over text with your ex. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of not texting your ex ever. And this is one of the major reasons why, because it messes up your time with your kids. I highly recommend creating a separate email address for your ex only, and then you control when you check those messages. So in your time with your kids, don't check the messages, or if you do it while the kids are watching TV or otherwise engaged, or if they've gone to bed. Don't allow your ex and their crazy to poison your time with your kids. You do have control over that. You just need to set up the boundaries and set up the strategies and then follow them. The other way that divorce can mess up your time with your kids and mess up your connection with them is just with undealt with emotions. So the analogy that I really like is like, let's pretend we have a backpack on, and during your day and during your week and during your month and during your whole life, actually, disappointments and aggravations and stresses are getting added into this backpack. Eventually, when the backpack is full, you're gonna blow. This can look like a full-on mommy meltdown. It can look like withdrawal. It can look like aggravation. It can look like irritability. It can just look like being a mean, cranky mom for no reason. The way that we combat this is we do it by learning how to unpack our emotional backpacks as they're getting filled up. If you can learn how to unload them, then you reach that blowing point much less often, so that you're actually present with your kids instead of just dwelling in the negativity and the hurt and the upset that's been laid on you by the stresses of this divorce. This is a tricky one for people to get because it's totally counterintuitive. What I'm asking you to do is learn how to actually be with your emotions. And it's counterintuitive because everything you've probably ever learned, and certainly everything society tells us, is if you start to feel something, you should distract yourself. You should find something else to think about. You should look at your phone. You should work. You should clean something. You should eat something. You should drink. You should smoke. You should do anything except be with that emotion. But that doesn't work. You know it doesn't work. And if you're not sure, look around at what's happening in your life and society in general, and you'll see this approach doesn't work. Instead, what we need to learn how to do is just be with our emotions. And the best way to do that is to start noticing how they actually feel in your body. Emotions can happen in a few different ways. In your body, we've got, tightness, constriction, a heavy, dark feeling, maybe something sticky, anxiety, like maybe your stomach hurts, maybe you get cold, you get hot, you start to sweat. There's something going to happen in your body. The more you can focus on that, is the quicker you're going to move through that emotion and you've just pulled something out of your backpack. What we tend to do if we're not moving to one of our distractions is we move up into our head and we tell ourselves a story about the feeling we're feeling. So now we're not feeling our feelings anymore. Now we're telling ourselves quite often a terrifying story about what awful thing is going to happen or what awful thing did happen. And that just makes everything worse. Now we're actually adding crap into our own backpacks. So when we feel our feelings, we need to stay in our bodies and stay out of our heads. And what I encourage you to do is actually start setting time aside in your schedule, in your day, in your week, in your month to do this. For me in the beginning, what I used to do is put my kids in front of the TV every day at 3:00, and then I would go and have a bath. I needed to put myself in the bath because if I didn't, I found what I would do is I would start doing housework. I would find some email. I have to check my email. I would distract myself. But in the bathtub, now I'm wet, I'm here, I can't be on my phone, I'm in the bathtub. So that's what worked for me. Maybe that would work for you, or try something similar. The tendency to just move away from what we're feeling and distract ourselves is so big because it's been ingrained in us for our whole lives. It really takes a lot of practice, but it's going to pay off a millionfold because what happens is our backpacks don't overfill, and then we can be there in a meaningful way for our kids. So at first, the idea or the experience of being with our feelings feels really, really scary. I know for me, I honestly thought that the grief in my heart was going to kill me. I thought if I started to cry, I would never stop and that I would just die from it. So I get that. If that's what you're thinking, I get it. But it's not true. Feelings dissolve and disappear if we be with them. It's kind of magic, actually. It's kind of like turning a flashlight on in a dark room. Where does the darkness go? It just disappears. You don't have to push it anywhere. You don't need to journal about it or work on it or anything. You've just turned a light on and the darkness has disappeared. Giving kind attention to your feelings works in exactly the same way. And the sense of overwhelm that our feelings can often bring is there just because we don't have any practice with it. And it feels like, it's going to hit me and I'm never going to come out the other side. But here's how feelings work. They work like waves. They come up, they get really big, they crest, and then they come down. Every time. I promise you, this is how it works. Breath break. Start practicing how to be with your feelings. Stop distracting yourself and just give yourself a moment or two to be with what's there and notice how it comes, it gets bigger, it seems scary, and then it goes away. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at surfing these waves. And if you do enough of it, eventually you're just going to be sailing on a smooth, crystal clear lake, and there's not even going to be these big waves. I promise you, this is how it works. Divorce messes up our kids by wrecking their sense of predictability and stability and wrecking the emotional attunement and connection that you have with them. But I've just given you all the tools you need to mitigate those things. Create a routine, let them know ahead of time what to expect, and learn how to manage your emotions by figuring out and practicing unpacking your backpack as it gets full so that you can be there in meaningful ways with your kids instead of being mired in this crap that the divorce has created. I really, really hope this video helped you. Please drop me a comment, ask me a question, let me know what you think about it. I'd love to talk about this with you. And thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'll catch you next time.